pas mal de circulation avant l'entrée de la route du littoral dans le sens possession Saint-Denis, pas mal de circulation.
Living on an island is not a picnic every day,
Ça avance doucement, on fait le point d'ici quelques instants.
especially when it's the civilization of the automobile, 1974 version.
L'embouteillage arrive au niveau de la rivière des Galets maintenant.
Oh là là.
Donc prenez votre mal en patience.
Il fait pas bon circuler.
And as the radio announcers never cease to tell you, you have to bear it with patience, because yes, it's pretty much the same thing every day along the coast road. Hours spent shut in a car with the air conditioning on and the radio to keep up to date with the traffic jams. You have to hang in.
Côté circulation nous indique la DDE. Dans l'autre sens, la DDE vous informe qu'il y a 1,5 km de bouchons.
If you wanted to paint a darker picture, you might say it's a suburban lifestyle. But be careful of easy shortcuts. On the islands, as everywhere else, things are never all black or all white. So, as we follow the road that snakes along the coast, we wondered if it wouldn't be a good idea to get some basics, the fundamental facts about Reunion in a way. So, number one, the island is the victim of its own success. Its population 800,000, soon to be 1 million. Result, Saint-Denis, the capital, never stops expanding in the middle of the Indian Ocean, much more than a regional capital. Number two, Saint-Denis belongs to that part of Reunion known as the lows, as opposed to the highs. If the lows are synonymous with traffic jams and population explosion, it's quite the opposite in the highs. Up here, the helicopter has become one of the favourite means of transport for the inhabitants. In fact, in the more isolated parts of the island, everything comes in by chopper: doctor, teacher, mailman, nurse or supplies. When several families pool resources to bring in the big bag of fortnightly groceries. Otherwise, it's a long walk, because there's no road that goes up there. And once the helicopters have gone, the world of silence takes over once again. Like huge natural amphitheatres, 2 giant volcanoes shelter 3 circuses only lately colonized by man. In certain places there's no running water, no fixed line phones, no electricity supply lines. Without solar panels, there's no light, no energy to power the fridge or radio, to provide communication with the rest of the world down below on the edge of the sea. You reach these scattered pockets by foot, via paths cleared by the first inhabitants of the mountains, those who were fleeing the slave traders. Up there, at least nobody came looking for them. So that's how life goes on in this spectacular, silent spot, where sometimes it rains so much that you think the water will carry everything away. It's Trade Winds Day on the East Coast. The Indian Ocean, is in a bad mood. Probably the tail end of a distant cyclone that's running out of breath somewhere on the coast of Madagascar. The austral swell is not yet up, but the sea is white. It's Trade Wind Day, and it's Market Day in Sainte-Suzanne. They have everything on the stalls, especially fruit and vegetables, and it'll take more than a gust of wind to drive the customers away. Just an ordinary day in the tropics. Everything is calm. But soon it's going to get hot. We're in the month of October. Along the mouths of the rivers, everything is ready for the new season. First, mark out your territory. Prepare your gear so you won't miss out when, at the new moon, the little fish known as bichique starts to shoal. Fishing for bichique requires a special expertise. The river mouths are divided into several channels, formed by piling up pebbles and bags of sand. Each channel belongs to certain families. There are sometimes skirmishes because the bichique is a big earner. At the same time, these channels, like rail tracks in a shunting yard, can be seen from a simple graphic point of view. And of course, you must have noticed, on days of high wind, there are no boats on the sea. In fact, here it's quite difficult enough to get these canoes in the water in fine weather, so when the wind is blowing, you can imagine the work. This east coast doesn't have things easy, does it? When it's not the wind or the water, there's the horror of the volcano. The windward coast is the most exposed to the wrath of the Fournaise Peak volcano. With all these eruptions, all this lava flowing down to the ocean, the island of Reunion is now gaining ground from the sea and thus getting bigger. So, should we be grateful to the volcano? Not sure. Nevertheless, an island that's getting bigger in the present times is rare enough to be underlined. Getting back to our fundamentals at the start, we have to agree that in the family of tropical ocean islands, Reunion is an exceptional case. The must is the iron hole. It seems very narrow, but if you step back a little, it's really huge. Who would imagine that just a few kilometers from here, as the bird flies, the edges of the sea suffer from overpopulation and traffic jams worthy of any Western city? Saint-Pierre on the leeward side. It's 5 o'clock, time for the evening dip. Here we are back in the lows, and it feels very strange. You might almost forget that beaches, mosques and temples also form part of Reunion. That's to say how much the mix reflects the landscapes, multiple and different. Yet another illustration. When there's too much rain in the east, in the west there's drought, and they need to water. Final surprise? This road, for the moment, open to hikers and cyclists. Above the coast road that runs around the island, we find this 4-lane highway that's been under construction for years, the Tamarind Road. It's designed to ease congestion along the coast. 32 kilometers with an impressive number of bridges and tunnels to build. A gigantic construction site, a challenge to nature. With this new road halfway up, the lows will be a little less low, and as for the highs, maybe they'll become a little less inaccessible. A good thing? We shall see.
avant d'arriver sur la route du littoral. Dans le sens possession Saint-Denis, il y a un gros ralentissement et c'est dû à la voie unique.